Yes, good evening mga ka-online. This is Sir P. Yes, Julius Neil Piala. And today's July 9 and it's the fourth episode of On Live Talk Season 2. Ikwento mo. Ito'y hatol sa atin. Gihatod, yes, handog sa atin ng BA Communication and Media Arts Program ng University of the Philippines, Mindanao bilang isang academic program improvement project and at the same time public service initiative na rin. At tampok ngayong season, hindi lamang mga impormasyong for sure, dagdag kaalaman sa ating lahat, pati na rin na inspirasyon tulad ng ating episode ngayong gabi. For this episode, sabi ko nga, magbibigay inspirasyon kasama sa akin ang mga co-hosts. And we have with me again my favorite, James Edward, bilang kanyang Abinimo, yes. Siya ay nag-host na rin last week sa On Live Spotlight at makakasama natin siya. And of course, Gab Pelayre from Davao del Norte. And please help me welcome again James, Edward, and Gab. Hello, James. Gab.
Hello, Sir P. Hello, good evening. Good evening,
Ayan.
James.
Yes.
I think nakamute
Oo.
ka yata, James.
Oo, nakamute si James. So,
Ayan,
yeah.
Sayang.
sorry for that. Okay. So ayun, thank you Sir P for the warm welcome sa aming lahat, no? Saka speaking of pagiging host last time, sobrang na-enjoy ko talaga Sir P. And I am so glad to be back here on the show. And I'm sure na for this episode, no, sa ating fourth episode ng On Live Talks, talagang mag-enjoy ang mga viewers natin, pati na ikaw, Kuya Gab, for
Yes.
sure.
Yes,
Yes,
of
kasi
course.
here on Live Talks kasi, we share stories that matter. Stories that will surely make us become inspired and of course, always better. Yes. So again, I'm James Edward, streaming live all the way from Bulacan and join us every other Saturday at 6 p.m. via Facebook Live through our official page, facebook.com/onlivetalks.2022. Right, Kuya Gab?
Yes, good evening, James and Sir P, and to everyone who is watching our live for tonight. You know, I am very glad to be here again, and this time as one of the interns of On Live Talks. I'm Gab Pelayre, and welcome to On Live Talks. We're not only available on Facebook dahil nasa Twitter at YouTube na rin tayo. I-follow at mag-subscribe sa On Live Talks so you are always updated sa ating mga kwentuhan. Di ba, Sir James? Sir P and James?
Yes,
Faculty
correct.
na bigla
Yes.
si James. Oo. At excited si Gab bilang ating intern. Unang intern na may hosting assignment. So congratulations sa
Yes.
Gab
Congrats, Kuya Gab.
Medyo
is sa
kinakabahan po ako.
assignment. Oo, laban na. And speaking of
Laban lang.
kaba, dito sa On Live Talks, we make your kaba a bit milder. We'll provide a lot of contents to make your lives more meaningful. Yes, tampok ang abi nimo, ang mga kwentong informative or trivia-ish. And we also have On Live Talk Spotlight featuring or showcasing stories from some members of the UP Min community. And speaking of stories, let's talk about health and wellness stories tonight. So, James,
Wow.
what do you do to improve your health or what are your health and wellness practices? Magkakaalamanan na.
Mauna na ako, no, Sir P, no? And Kuya Gab. So, ayun. Last time kasi, di ba, meron pang mga
Yes.
classes. So, medyo nagko-compromise ko yung health ko sa sleep and sa food and also sa mga physical activities, no? Pero since now nga, ayun, medyo bakasyon na tayo. So, ayun, medyo mas maluwag-luwag na at mas natututukan na yung health and wellness. Actually, meron nga akong ngayon special program for myself. It's a special diet. It's
Wow.
a seafood diet. Yes.
Ano yung
Have you
seafood?
heard of that? Seafood diet?
Hindi.
So, okay. So basically, yung seafood
Di
diet
pa.
na ginagawa ko is, when I see food, I eat. Ayan.
Ako din
Yes.
ata yan.
Ganun ka rin, Sir P. Yes. Kasi, kasi
Napakawiti
nag-ano
nun
ko
ah.
ngayon. Yes, of course. Ganyan tayo dito sa online talks. So, ayun. Nagaganon ako ngayon kasi plan ko mag-caloric surplus to build more of my BMI. So, how about you, Sir P and Kuya Gab? Anong pinagkakaabalahan niyo ngayon?
Ayan, si Gab.
Yes, just like you, James, I was also frustrated last semester kasi napakadami ng requirements. I'm sure you can relate to that. Tapos ang bibigat pa ng mga
Yes.
courses. However, good thing is I am getting better now. And gusto ko lang i-share na just July 7 or July 8 bata, I have started my self-care routine or basically just my home workout. So I just hope na
Wow.
mapagpapatuloy ko ito. So ayun.
Sana naman, no, lahat.
So
Sana all may
yes.
home workout.
Yes,
Sayo lang
masipag.
ako dito. Oo. From my end naman, recently I sought help from a nutritionist and dietitian gawa ng aking health conditions, aking heart, and all other um, concerns. Ano. But this topic is very close to me. Maybe I must pay attention. So, to know more about
Yes.
our topic for tonight, talaga namang for sure maraming interested. Let's all watch this.
Sis, wait lang. Naman ako ng tubig. Tayo mo na. Sige, sis, go lang. Ay, Aliyah! Hindi mo aakalain may share ako sa'yo. Sige, sis, go lang. Ano ba yun? Alam mo ba, nagkita kami ni Hana kahapon sa mall. Grabe yung glow up niya, be! Grabe, ang slim-slim na talaga niya. Parang mapapasabi ka talagang Coca-Cola body yarn. Hindi mo talaga ma-recognize si Hana kasi parang pumayat siya in a very short period of time. Nagtataka nga ako kung paano niya na-achieve yun. Ay nako, late ka na talaga sa balita, no? Kaya promote nga siya sa social media ng technique niya kung paano niya na-achieve yung ganong body. Ang alam ko, walang physical exercise involved yung ganong ginagawa niya. Nakakahingit na parang gusto kong itry. OMG! True ba yan? True, sis. Pero, Aliyah, parang alarming naman na sinabi mo. Kasi, di ba, sabi nga nila, walang nadadaan sa santong paspasan. Pero yung kay Hana, parang too good to be true, di ba? Kasi yung immediate results niya, nagkakaka talaga ako, Aliyah. Sabagay, may point ka rin naman. Ang risky din kasi pag ganun eh. Ang alam ko, low-carb diet at intermittent fasting yung ginawa niya para pumayat ng ganun. At nakita ko rin naman sa social media na parang effective din naman pag ganun. Kaya minsan parang gusto ko rin talagang itry, sis. Kahit ako rin naman, Aliyah, no? Natitempt talaga akong mag-try niyan. Like dati pa, dahil naglipanan sa social media kung gaano ka-effective yun. Pero yun nga, tinamad ako. Kasi I really tried actually eh. Pero tinamad ako, yun nga, walang disiplina sa sarili. Pero alam mo, if gusto mo talaga ma-achieve ang body type na yan, I suggest, wag sa fad diet na yan. Mas mabuti ng safe tayo. Correct, sis. Kaya siguro mag-gym na lang ako, no? Yes. Para pumayat. At saka nakaka-inspire pag ganun. Kasi sis, daming guwapo. Okay, baliw ka talaga. Let's go. Tara na nga, daming chika.
Nais mo rin bang pumayat at i-achieve ang gusto mong katawan? Naisipan mo na rin bang idaan ito sa mabilisang proseso? Nakakainggan tunay na pakinggan ang resultang hatid ng fad diets. Slim real quick ika nga nila. Ano nga ba ang katotohanan sa likod nito? Tara't samahan niyo kaming talakayin at bigyang linaw ang lahat ng inyong katanungan dito sa 4th episode ng On Live Talk Season 2 ngayong gabi, July 9, kasama sina James Edward at Gab Pelayre sa isa na namang makabuluhang talakayan na pinamagatang The Truth Behind Fad Diets, Debunking Myths on Low-Carb Diet and Intermittent Fasting. Dahil dito sa On Live Talks, your stories matter. On Live Talks, ikwento mo.
Okay, ayun, grabe naman yun. I'm sure nakarelate si Kuya Gab doon, no? Sa gusto mag-glow up. Yes. Kasi sino namang hindi gusto mag-glow up, no? Kahit ako gusto ko. Kaya ngayong gabi, tayo ay magkwentuhan and let's learn about the truth behind fad diets. So, debunking myths on low-carb diet and intermittent fasting. At syempre, mga ka-onlive, no? Gusto namin kayong maging bahagi ng ating talakayan. Kaya just simply leave your thoughts and comments on our episode tonight or you may ask some questions to our guests on the comment section. At mamaya, we will surely read your insights and questions so that our guests could respond to them during the second part of the show.
Yes, mapa-question or insights man yan, guys, or baka gusto nyo lang mag-shoutout sa inyong gym or jogging body, please feel free to leave your messages in the comment section. So, Sir P and James, gaano kayo ka-excited sa ating topic tonight?
Oo, si James. Parang
Okay.
papasipo diet ka pa rin ba? Yung when I see, I eat food.
Yes. Yes, sir. Actually, na-trigger nga yung excitement ko dun sa situation or video natin kasi may physical activities na ginagawa kasabay ng diet. So, sa sobrang excited ko, meron akong props dito, di ba?
Wow!
So, ayun, di ba?
May prop
Pinagandaan. Kayo ba, Sir P? Are you excited din?
Ako excited. Lalabas ko na nga sana yung calculated diet ko. Asa na nga ba yun? But natuto ako sa pag-props ko, ha? Gab,
Wow.
how excited are you for tonight's episode?
Actually, as someone na nagsisimula na maging conscious sa food intake or sa diet ko po, I am very excited to go deeper in this discussion kasi I really want to know about this topic and the like, kung alin ang totoo at kung
Yeah.
ano ba ang mga dapat gawin o sundin kasi marami-rami na rin akong nabasa on the internet about low-carb diet and intermittent fasting. So,
Oh, di
ayun.
ba? Akalain mo yung
Same.
ginawang nutritionist si Google. But yeah, we'll talk more about sino at saan ba tayo makakakuha ng tamang impormasyon. So for now, we will be joined by James for the first discussion segment and magpapaalam muna tayo kay Gab because he will be joining us for the second part
Bye
of the
Bye-bye.
show.
guys.
So bye
Bye-bye.
Gab, see you later. Yes. So, huwag na natin
All right.
patagalin pa. Kilalanin natin ang magbabahagi ng kanilang health and wellness pointers and best practices. We have health advocates. Let's all watch this. All right, so there we have it for tonight. For the fourth episode, we have Miss Mithi Miclat, a registered nutritionist and dietitian, and she's the older sister of a graduating student ng BACMA program, si Maya. Hi, Maya. And
Wow.
yes, proud ate yan for sure. And we have Miss Josette Genio, good friend of Ma'am Ina. And of course, she's been a practitioner ng low-carb diet and intermittent fasting. Good evening, Miss Josette.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for the
Yes, good
opportunity.
evening, Miss Josette.
And,
Good evening, Miss Mithi. Ayan. So,
Good
very
evening.
excited ako talaga kasi grabe nabasa ko yung mga bio notes niyo po before mag-start yung show. Talagang isang advocate and practitioner ng mga health practices and isang registered na nutritionist dietitian, di ba? Grabe yung inclination sa health and wellness. So, ayun na nga, excited na kaming lahat, Miss Mithi and Miss Josette, na makipag-chikan sa inyo. So, ayun, meron kaming ilang mga katanungan na pwede ninyong sagutin ng sabay or kahit sino po sa inyo yung mauna. Alright, so ayun po, tanong po muna siguro ng lahat. Tungkol nga sa pinag-usapan natin ay health and wellness, bakit po ba mahalaga ang usaping diet sa pangkalahatang health and wellness ng isang tao?
mhm. Let's ask first, Miss Josette.
Yeah. Thank you. I think because we only have one body, and we need to take care of it. And for me to be able to live fully, you really have to be healthy.
Yeah.
Mm.
Thank
Gusto
you
ko yung
for
to
that,
live
Miss Josette.
fully. Oo, no? To live fully,
Yeah.
which means if you're physically fit, everything will follow kasama na yung mental health.
Yeah.
Miss Mithi, any thoughts?
For me naman, it's very similar to what Miss Josette said. But when people usually think of health and wellness, it's usually too late. Kung may nararamdaman na, or may sakit na, ay, sorry sir, hindi ko yung tatama. But I think it's quite common for everyone na they will only get interested in diet and physical exercise pag may mga nararamdaman na siyang hindi okay sa katawan. So I think that's why it's very important for us to talk about it in order to prevent anything worse from happening to your body. So like what Ms.
Yes.
Lisette
Kaya
said,
this,
yeah, ganun talaga.
yes, thank you for that, Miss Mithi, no? Saka, tama nga po yung sinabi niyo. This is a very good opportunity sa ating mga viewers na huwag nating hintayin pa na magkaroon pa tayo ng sakit para lang mag-act tayo sa health natin. Right? And ayun nga po, gaya ng sinabi ni Miss Josette, diba? Isa lang yung body natin. And kapag inalagaan natin, for sure, mas makakapag-live tayo fully, no? Kasi kapag healthy tayo, marami tayong pwedeng gawin. Right, Sir P?
Oo, parang nagigilty tuloy ako. Kasi may tendency ako, hindi talaga sinusunod yung mga advice ng physician after ng regular routine check-up. Tapos recently, dahil may nakita nga sa heart ko at merong indication sa kidney ko, it seems na parang parang kinurot na ako ng tadhana. So tanungin natin si Miss
Oh.
Josette, bilang low-carb diet and intermittent fasting practitioner, paano ka nagsimula sa pagsunod ng mga healthy lifestyles na ito? Kasi sa akin, parang feeling ko ngayon nga parang ngayon na talaga.
Yeah, so I believe tama yung sinabi ni Miss Mithi. I actually in 2018, I had a lot of health issues. I was back and forth in the hospitals and as a doctor, and I have this very persistent tonsil issues. It's persisting for more than a year. Parang halos buwan-buwan meron akong tonsillitis, whether it's bacterial or viral, and palagi ako may problema. And so in late 2018, it actually resulted into a surgery. It's a minor surgery to remove yung nana sa loob ng tonsil ko because that's the only way to get it. Kasi hindi na ako nagre-respond sa medicines because I've been taking a lot of antibiotics dahil dun sa mga persistent tonsil issues ko. And then after that, after the surgery, my doctor actually warned me that yung tonsil problems ko will continue to persist because it's like parang ganun na daw talaga siya, and I asked her why, sabi ko what's the cause, and she couldn't answer it because wala naman talagang parang causative, parang yung pinaka causative agent ng aking condition, and that the only option for me kapag it continuously persists kahit na naoperahan ako because yung tendency daw is bumalik doon was to do tonsillectomy or yung complete removal ng tonsils. So parang during that, it was late in 2018, and in 2019, sabi ko, gusto ko na magbagong buhay. Back then, I was really an eating machine. I eat every 2 hours. I'm always hungry. Angry kapag hungry. Yun. And despite that, I always feel I have yung physical and mental health ko are really in not a good shape. And I'm always lethargic despite eating a lot. I have very poor stamina. I couldn't walk 200 meters without feeling exhausted. So parang I started questioning my eating habits and lifestyle. So that's when I started, una-una parang experimental lang siya. I started to do a little bit of ketogenic and low-carb diet. Of course, there is, for the first week, syempre mahirap siya kasi anything that is a sudden change in your usual eating habits will really affect you. But then after that, maybe in 2 weeks' time, I get used to that kind of eating habits. I feel I can stick to it. Versus siguro sa mga previous diets that I've tried. Kasi importante yun that you're able to stick to that kind of diet and be consistent with it. And I also do periodic intermittent fasting. So for maybe around 6 months, I did that. And then siguro my biggest influencer sa physical activity or physical workout is really my younger brother because he's actually sports and exercise specialist.
Wow.
So he introduced me to strength training, and ever since I never looked back. I loved it. I loved yung effect niya sa katawan ko. And yun nga, in 7 months, I lost around 10 kilograms kasi I was in a borderline of overweight na din. So in 7 months, parang I lost 10 kilograms. I started working out physically, and then I continuously eating low, sometimes moderate carbohydrates para lang just to fuel myself during workouts. So yan, I never looked back. I did not look back to my old ways of eating a lot, like every 2 hours, eating a lot and eating not mindfully. So ngayon, I'm really consciously eating na.
Ms. Josette, may follow-up question ako doon sa sinasabi mong you never look back. Kasi ako, obese one ako, and I feel like feeling ko mag-relapse ako. So, was there a point na parang somehow nag-relapse kayo? How did you make bawi?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. Actually, in siguro previously, a lot of years, kasi madali talaga akong tumaba, and I really do get sickly all the time. So parang in my previous diets that I tried, medyo I have a tendency to mag-rebound yung weight ko. But then so far I find sticking to the low carbohydrate diet much easier. Kasi whenever like medyo napapamoderate or medyo napapadami yung sweets ko na kinakain and then I feel guilty. Pero nag-gain akong weight, pero it's just minimal, siguro mga 2 to 3 kilos. But then if I eat back yung, kumbaga parang pag bumalik ako ulit dun sa low carbohydrate diet ko, parang, kumbaga, babalik din ako dun sa, I lose again and then I maintain my weight.
I see.
Ako, Sir P, and Miss Josette, nakaka-relate ako dun sa sinabi mo kasi parehas pala tayo, sakitin din ako nung bata. Yes, and siguro ako rin, nagkaroon din ako ng awakening. Naging conscious ako sa health ko nung bata ako kasi sakitin ako. So that was when I got into sports and mas naging mindful ako sa kung ano yung mga kinakain ko, yung mga ginagawa ko. And ayun nga yung sinabi mo kanina na kapag nakita natin yung result na ginagawa sa katawan natin, yung mga healthy practices, talagang ma-addict tayo. I remember dati nung high school, minsan kapag nasa school ako, naboboard na ako kasi gusto ko na talagang mag-training kasi ang sarap sa feeling nung feeling mo talagang nagiging healthy ka, no?
Yeah.
Nakaka-relate ka ba dun, Sir P? Or baka meron kayong same experiences, ganyan, Miss Mithi?
Mhm. Oo. So, to be honest, recently lang talaga sa akin nagkaroon ng parang realization na there's a need to consult a nutritionist because there's parang a common understanding na kaya ko to on my own. So, James, maybe let's ask Miss Mithi a question that would definitely help us understand how we improve our health condition.
Yes. Yes, Sir P, tama, no? Kasi nga, we heard din talaga na si Miss Mithi is a registered nutritionist dietitian. So, tama lang talaga na tanungin natin siya kung ano ba, Miss Mithi, ano-ano yung mga dapat na isaalang-alang kung susundan ng low-carb diet and intermittent fasting na rin. So, ito ba'y para ba sa lahat o sa iilan lamang?
So that's actually a very good question. With Miss Josette, she's very lucky na these diets work for her. But personally, in my opinion, personally and professionally, I don't think it's for everyone. So before you adhere to any diet whatsoever, mapa-low carb man yan, IF, keto, whatever, you also really need to consult with your physician and then your registered nutritionist dietitian after. So, hindi siya pwede for everyone in a sense na may mga tao kasi mga may comorbidities or karamdaman. Like for example,
Yes.
if you adhere to a low carb diet, it's not really suitable for people who have these blood sugar problems. So, baka mag-spike bigla ang blood sugar nila. It's not good for
Mm,
people with diabetes. So, I
mm,
mean, it is not good for people with diabetes na hindi controlled. So, kasi yung kanilang blood sugar can go up and down. Apart from that, a very popular diet, which is similar to the low carb diet, is a ketogenic diet. So when
yes.
people think of keto, they think of fatty food. There's always this misconception about keto diet na parang they can only eat fat and then not eat carbs. But that's not true. You have to eat good fat because it's good for your
Mm,
body. So people who have high cholesterol, who have predisposition to hypertension, all of those, kailangan nilang ipa-check muna yung baseline blood levels nila before following these diets. Kasi baka umakyat bigla yung lipid profile and such. So that's what they have to do. With intermittent fasting naman, again, it's not for everyone. It works for some people, which is really great, but it's not for everyone. Minsan kasi yung food and fasting or doing something like that, it's connected to psychology. Kasi sometimes when you
Yes.
starve yourself, kung may makikita kang pagkain, may tendency to binge eat. For some people who aren't really disciplined, this wouldn't work for them. But for people who are very disciplined or who would know how to adhere to the certain times that they would eat, it's very good. However, if you're not that type of person, I wouldn't recommend it kasi baka
mm,
biglang masobrahan yung pagkain mo during that window when you can eat. So, ayun, it's very good if it works for you. But if it doesn't work for you, then I wouldn't recommend it. But in order for you to know that, you really have to consult with a professional beforehand. So, hindi yung basta-basta lang na makikita mo sa internet na, uy, ito yung pinakabagong usong diet, sundin ko kaya, baka mag-work din for me. And, ayun, mostly kasi when people think about these diets, it's not about health. They think about weight loss. I think
ah,
Yes.
that's why usong-uso yung mga diets na to. Like with a short video earlier na pag-usapan yung glow up ng certain person. Because you
Yes.
follow these diets, it's true, you may lose weight really, really fast. However, if that is your end goal, I wouldn't recommend it because dieting has to be sustainable. It is a lifestyle. It's not something you do for a short period of time kasi may end goal ka to lose a certain number of kilos in X number of weeks. So, yun yung advice ko. It's not really for everyone. And hopefully, when you think about dieting, it's about your overall health. It's not just about how you look.
Yes, it's not about how
Yes.
Instagrammable you are,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Kasi people, when they follow the fad diets, ay, ipopost ko to sa Facebook or any social media. Meron lang akong i-clarify, Miss Mithi, ano? You mentioned about diabetes. There has been, or there have been a lot of several studies also trying to assess yung connection ng pagsusunod ng diets na ito sa pag-increase ng mga cases ng diabetes mellitus 2. So, um, any thoughts about this?
Which diet po, sir? The low
Uh,
carb one?
yung low carb diet and intermittent fasting na merong certain studies na or may mga nagsasabing mga professionals that they don't really recommend it fully because
Mm-hmm.
they're associated to the increasing cases of diabetes or again
Mm.
parang case to case siya.
Uh, to be honest, I haven't seen those studies, so I can't really give my professional opinion. But when people usually think of carbohydrates, kasi they do have this misconception that these carbs are mostly the refined ones and cakes, etc., sweets that we always see. So, which is why when people think of these diets, they would binge on those certain foods instead of actually looking at carbs that can help their bodies better. So these are the whole carbohydrates. So ito yung mga grains, oats, etc. Those are the actual carbs that can help your body. So regarding that particular study, I'm sorry, I haven't read it. Pero ayun, in my professional opinion, I think we have to research on it more kasi bago lang naman naging uso yung diets na yun. So we don't really have any long-term studies regarding these.
Mm. All right. Thank you, Miss Mitino. That's very enlightening. And more than that, it's good really to seek professional help from nutritionist, dietitian. Ms. Josette, ano sa tingin mo ang mga benefits ng low carb diet and intermittent fasting na madalas mong ibinabahagi sa ibang mga tao based on your experience?
Yeah. First and foremost, I feel physically and mentally better, and I agree with Miss Mithi that you have to focus on your overall health when trying to stick to a certain diet. Sinasabi ko palagi na bonus lang for me yung aesthetics. If you're able to get slimmer or a leaner body or a
Mhm.
clearer skin. But I think more importantly, the diet or the lifestyle that you have should make you feel a lot better about yourself because that's exactly what it did to me and what it's doing to me.
Mm.
Yes. Tama yun, sir. Kasi ako personally, naalala ko, I have this friend na, medyo nakantsawan na, ayan, medyo tumataba ka, ganyan, ganyan. Tapos, she got very conscious. And then, after that, parang, we were in senior high school nito eh. Tapos, after that, bigla siya nag-diet out of nowhere. Parang, dahil lang doon, bigla siya nag-diet. And then, ayun, dahil hindi nga proper diet yun, hindi naman siya nag-consult sa mga professionals. After that, bigla siyang nagkasakit, bigla siyang nilagnat, kinabukasan hindi siya nakapasok. Kaya sa akin, personally, ang opinion ko siguro, one thing din na may help natin aside from giving mga professional advice is tanggalin natin yung mga prejudice and mga common na notions sa tungkol sa BMI. Kasi hindi man porket mapayat ka, you're healthy or you're unhealthy, hindi porket medyo may laman-laman ka, you're healthy and unhealthy. So, ayun.
Mhm. Yeah.
For Miss Mithi, no? Dahil nabanggit nga po kanina yung dalawang uri ng diet, meron po akong question na, bukod po dun sa dalawa na yon, yung intermittent fasting and low-carb diet, ano pa po kayang mga alternative practices ang pwede niyong ibahagi sa ating mga viewers na pwede nilang gawin?
Mm.
So for me, it's not really alternative practices, but rules of thumb. So,
Ah.
oo, kasi usually
Mm.
when people think of alternative practices, dapat hindi siya yung norm. So, yun yung bale alternative. So,
Ah.
dapat sundin na lang natin yung rule of thumb natin. This was taught to us very early on in life, yung go, grow, glow. So, I do know na paulit-ulit yun when we were growing up. But basically, what we really need to remember is what we eat. In what we eat, there should be a balance. There should be a variety of different food. And you also eat everything in moderation. So yung tatlo na yun, yung dapat natin remember every time we choose the food that we eat. So by balanced diet, what we mean is it's complete, it has all of the macronutrients, it has carbohydrates, fat, as well as protein. So dapat kumpleto yun. The amount would depend on your needs personally, so I can't really give you an amount right now. Next is variety. So by variety, ibig sabihin, hindi dapat paulit-ulit yung pagkain natin because a single food item does not have all of the nutrients we need, which is why kailangan pa iba-iba talaga. So if we eat vegetables, hindi yung lettuce lang parate. Siyempre, we have to choose different vegetables because each vegetable has their own micronutrients na kasama doon. So that's why we need to choose a variety of different foods. And lastly, in moderation. So the essence kasi of rewards when it comes to us. So parang, oh, I think deserve ko tong item na yan. So it's okay to really get anything. However, it must be in moderation. Also the same with healthy food. Hindi naman dapat pwede lahat ng bagay i-deprive mo sa sarili mo na puro healthy food lang yung kakainin mo. So which is why I believe in moderation. Kasi we deserve to eat food that makes us feel good. And that's why I think that those are the three rules of thumb that we have to follow.
Ayun.
Yes, thank
Thank
you,
you,
Miss
Miss Mickey,
Mickey.
for
Ako
those
meron pa ako isang, yes.
yes, James.
Actually, meron pa ako isang question, Miss Mickey. Like, personal kasi siya. Na
Mm-hmm.
ako kasi, I'm trying to increase my BMI, my weight. Kasi very
Mm-hmm.
conscious ako sa body ko before. Kaya I got into strength training and all that. So, ayun. In talking about moderation, okay lang po ba na yung mga kagaya ko na gusto mag-increase ng weight is nagtitake ng mga protein shakes like mass
Ah,
gainer, whey proteins,
Supplement.
creatines. Yes po.
Okay. So, interesting question. Kasi halos lahat ng kakilala kong gusto mag-gain, they take protein shakes or they take
yes.
supplements like BCAA, etc. To be
Yes.
honest, that would only work if your body needs it. And I can't give you like a personal advice right now kasi hindi ko alam yung baseline mo. So, again, kailangan mo kasi malaman eh. Kasi one wrong thing that can happen if masobrahan ka ng protein shakes is ma-affect yung kidneys mo and that's not something we want.
Mm.
Um, Personally, I would recommend na kunin mo yung protein sources mo from natural foods. So, from meat, so lean meats, etc., fish, chicken, yun talaga usually. So, even beans. So, dun mo dapat kunin yung protein mo. And it can be metabolized by your body better than artificial supplements. However, if hindi
Yes.
kaya ng katawan mo or hindi mo makuha yung nutrients na yun from those foods, siguro doon na papasok yung supplements. But then again, it would also depend
Yes.
on your exercise. Kasi minsan, sorry sa mga taong nag-gym na ginagawa to, pero minsan yung mga tao, for the char na lang sila umiinom ng protein shakes. Hindi naman talaga nila kailangan. Kasi the energy expenditure
Yeah.
that they do when they work out, hindi naman nila kailangan i-supplement yun eh with these protein shakes. Gets with nutrition kasi medyo math siya eh, parang it's a matter of balancing these two things.
Yes
So,
po.
you exert doing this in the gym, dapat ma-cover mo yan with what you eat. However, with some people, parang joke time lang yung pag-exercise nila and then iniinom sila ng shake kasi, hey, I'm being fit, whatever. That doesn't work, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But, also,
Yes.
you have to be very conscious, very careful, and always consult with a professional. And before taking all of these shakes, all of these supplements, really, my recommendation, alam kong baka pa-ulit-ulit ko itong sasabihin, is to really, get your blood work done. Kasi yun nga, who knows, maybe this is a horror story, but with some people, um, umiinom lang sila ng shakes just because they think it's something that's very useful for the gym, but they don't really
Yeah.
work out so much. So yun, nagkakaroon sila ng kidney problems, and then the worst case scenario is they have to undergo dialysis, kidney
Oh,
failure, etc. So that's why you need to be really careful.
yes. O, di ba, ingat
So,
talaga, James.
discipline din po talaga. Yeah,
Mm.
discipline. Saka from the word itself po, no, supplementary lang talaga dapat.
Supplement, exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Oo,
Thank
hindi
you,
mo siya
Miss
gawin
Mickey,
na
no.
Parang rice, no? Na parang ang consumption
Kaya
mas
hindi
marami
talaga.
pa sa protein shake kaysa sa
Yeah.
other important food. Na talagang first part pa lang, busog-lusog na ang ating mga puso't isipan for this topic. And when we return, we'll be joined by Gab as we cater and accommodate questions from the UP Min community. All that and more only here on Live Talks. Ikwento mo.
An educational institution bound to honor and excellence. The University of the Philippines Mindanao has made significant leaps in its commitment to serve the people. Since 1995, UP Mindanao has experienced unprecedented heights of development. New academic infrastructures were built at strategic locations in the campus, and more avenues for interdisciplinary academic exchange were developed. These were made possible with the support from the national government, UP system, UP alumni, and the private sector. Since then, UP Mindanao revisited its mandates anew, and with the help of internal and external partners near and far, UP Mindanao became a responsive and relevant university in terms of academic, research, and public service anchored on these three key themes. UP Mindanao focuses its efforts to recruit the best and brightest Filipinos and Mindanaoans to become ethical and excellent leaders of the nation. This is possible thanks to its distinct student and learning experience, along with improved current academic programs and upcoming academic offerings that are responsive and relevant to the needs of Mindanao and the rest of the country. Due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic, various activities from different parts of the globe are highly affected. Despite the odds, UP Mindanao continues to implement academic, research, and public service programs with respect to attaining the UN Millennium Sustainable Development Goals. UP Mindanao's 204 hectares of titled land is located in Mintal, Davao City, designated for higher level education, research and development in the arts and culture, and sustainable agri and biosystems of Mindanao. This initiative will serve UP Mindanao's current and future graduate programs, as well as creating a unique living experience for its students, employees, and visitors. As the world is gearing up for a new kind of normalcy, the university is ready to evolve into a smart campus for learning, development, and innovation. The Committee on Ligtas Balik Eskwela prepares UP Mindanao for the resumption of face-to-face classes by formulating and testing guidelines consistent with government directives. These initiatives are only possible with the unyielding support of UP Mindanao stakeholders, its students, faculty, staff, alumni, friends, and partners. They aspire to make UP Mindanao's vision a reality, not just for Mindanao, but for the Philippines and for humanity.
Good evening to all our viewers, and we're back here on the fourth episode of On Live Talk Season 2, Ikwento Mo. And tonight we've been talking about the truth behind fad diets, debunking myths on low-carb diet and intermittent fasting. I'm Gab Pelayre,
And this is Sir P.
and we're still with our guests who may have different fields of expertise but are both passionate and committed as health and wellness advocates. Miss Mithi Miclat, and Miss Josette Emlen Genio. So let me just take this opportunity no to greet our guests kasi di ko sila nag-greet kanina. Hello po Miss Mithi and Miss Josette.
Hello.
Hi.
Yes.
So, yes po. This time for our second discussion segment, we'll ask both of you some questions from the UP Min community through pre-recorded videos. Any of you may start sharing your thoughts or insights depending on the question. And for our first question, Sir P, you may do the honors.
Ayan. Actually, madami tayong questions via Facebook. And let's ask this question from, let's see kung kanino galing. Ayan, from Aya or Yana. How do you stay motivated po in maintaining a healthy lifestyle? Wow, talking about motivation. Let's begin first with Miss Josette.
Ang pinaka-motivation ko is really yung health, overall health. Because I don't want to go back to being the usual lethargic person, the person na palaging anemic, palaging pagod sa lahat ng bagay, and then parang you always feel the need to sleep even the middle of the day. So that actually changed because of the change in lifestyle. So yun yung pinaka-motivation ko. And siguro just to add, no, in my, yun nga, yung tonsil problems ko, it never came back actually after I shifted to a better lifestyle. So it was surprising to my doctor herself. So I did a lot of blood works, and it was all fine. So she said, na, okay, continue doing what you do. That makes you feel better.
Yes. Well, what about you, Miss Mithi?
In my case naman, I have to be honest, medyo ako yung type of person na hindi ganun ka madaling ma-motivate in attaining a healthy lifestyle, even though ito yung aking profession. So, for me, I think mas na-motivate ako if I have someone na parang accountable for me. So, to give you an example, like last year, or was it 2 years ago, when nag-start yung COVID, the gyms were closed. So, nahirapan ako mag-workout on my own kasi feeling ko hindi ako motivated kasi mas kasanay ako sa gym and home workouts don't work for me. However, it was also a time when a good friend of mine really started to check up on me and the rest of my friends. So, parang he would always ask na, uy, kumusta na yung workout mo? Naka-workout ka na ba today? So, there was someone na, hindi naman siya nagbabantay. There's someone who was really there to check up on me. So, if ikaw, if you think that you have friends who also who would need that type of motivation, ikaw mismo yung gumawa nun sa kanila. So, with your family, with your friends, so ikaw yung magiging accountability partner nila.
Well, thank you po for that answer, Miss Mithi and Miss Josette. And I must be honest as well, kasi personally, I am also inconsistent with my diet and exercises, and even with my sleeping pattern po. So I guess
Aray.
I must thank you for all of your tips or answers on how to stay motivated in maintaining a healthy lifestyle. So how about you, Sir P?
Speechless ako. Parang wala nga akong motivation. Pero I think
So,
I would try. Meron akong accountability partner, yung asawa ko.
wow, sana all po.
In fact, nurse po kasi yung wife ko sa
Mm.
SPMC. So parang, actually, parang disobedience nga ang nangyayari. Parang sobra-sobra na yung guidance niya. So, Gab, let's ask
Yes.
them the question from a UP Min staff.
Yes, for our next question, coming from Ayupi Minugnayan ng Pahinungod staff, and here's Marsh Kayunda. Let's all watch this video.
Hello, good evening. Thank you very much for discussing this topic. I'm Marsh Kayunda and I'm trying to practice LCIF. But they say that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Would it be okay if I skip breakfast so that I can do intermittent fasting? Or would it be better if I skip dinner instead? Thank you!
Ayan. Sino pong gustong unang sumagot? Very
Yeah,
Yes.
I can go
intriguing
ahead. Yeah. So when doing kasi intermittent fasting, there is really no prescribed schedule. So kung whatever works for you or what kasi let's say in my case no, I do work from home for almost 3 years now. And normally my morning is the busiest really time sa work ko. And for me, I find sticking to intermittent fasting when I'm busy. Kasi hindi ako nag-iisip na kakainin ko. Hindi ako nag-iisip that kumbaga pag preoccupied kasi yung isip ko, hindi ko naisip yung gutom. So I normally start my meal at 12 noon. And I even
Oh.
do extended fasting. I do 18 hours fasting. That's actually extended version of the 16/8. And actually, I've been doing that periodically for 3 years, no. And then also when yung term na breakfast kasi, actually I just learned this from the IF community, no. Na it is called breakfast because
Right.
it is the first meal that break your fasting the night before. So it doesn't really matter
Ah.
if you break your fast in noon time or kahit gabi pa, you stick to whatever schedule fits your work or fits your daily lifestyle.
Yes,
Mm.
thank you po.
Thank you, Miss
And how
Josette.
about
Miss
you?
Betty?
Yes po.
Yeah, actually, tama yung sinabi ni Miss Gisette na yung breakfast, it means that you break your fast. So it doesn't have to be 7 a.m. na meal. And in my opinion, regarding the question, it would depend on what the star of your day is, kung breakfast, lunch, or dinner mo yun. Kasi for some people, for them, breakfast is the most important meal of the day kasi it fuels them for the rest of the day. For some people, it's lunch. For some people, it's dinner. So it would depend on you kung ano talaga yung pinaka-okay for your schedule, pinaka-okay for your body. In my case, minsan, I can last without breakfast because I have brunch and dinner. For some people, it doesn't work. You really need all of those meals. Some people naman, kaya nila kung kakain lang sila hanggang merienda and then for the night, wala na silang gagawin. So again, it is like a case-to-case basis. It would depend on what the most important meal or the star of the day is for you.
All right. Thank
Yes.
you, Miss Betty, Miss Josette. Let's now proceed to another question from Facebook. And this time it's from, yan, tingnan natin kung, oh, ayan. Tingnan natin yung question ni Meryl. Hello po sa speakers. Meron po akong question kasi po my family is very fond of caffeine. Be it yung instant coffee and yung actual brewed coffee. Amen. Tapos po, nabasa ko po na merong nagsasabi na good daw ang coffee. Meron ding studies na nagsasabi na bad daw yung coffee, which is confusing na po saan ba talaga yung totoo. Ang question ko po, as a professional in this field, ano pong say nyo with caffeine intake? May recommended amount po ba kayo na intake lang in a day? Thank you po. Who would like to answer this question? Miss Mithi? Or Miss Josette?
I can answer it.
Mhm.
So in my case, I can totally relate as a caffeine addict. So so hindi lang for it's really confusing because we get conflicting answers from different people. Is it good? Is it bad? So we can't really demonize caffeine na it's good or bad. Siguro in my personal opinion, stop with instant coffee, 3-in-1, kasi it's not really an ideal source of what you're looking for. If people do not know this, usually when we do coffee processing, yung mga tira-tira ng corporations, yun yung pinoprocess nila, and that's what they make into instant coffee. They add sugar, they add all the other additives which are not good for your body. So my recommendation is if you do drink coffee, is to make your own, brew your own coffee. If you have it like in whole beans, grind it, and then we have so many coffee shops here in Davao who can really provide amazing coffee for you. So that's what my recommendation is with regards to instant coffee. Regarding the amount, ideally, it should be less than 3 cups a day. Um, Yes. Yes, it should not go beyond that kasi magpapalpitate ka na. And regarding it being good or bad, it would depend on your body. Again, some people will get motivated by caffeine, energized by caffeine, and that's a good thing. However, if meron kang other underlying conditions like heart conditions that can cause like palpitations, it's not going to be good for you. And kung meron ka din GERD or anything that's wrong with your intestinal tract, baka it can cause acid reflux. So that's also not going
Yes.
to be good for you. So
Yes po.
again, it would really depend. in my opinion, if you drink coffee, drink good coffee. So, huwag mo nang pisarin sarili mo. Okay? You reward yourself by drinking good coffee. But make sure the coffee is not yung mga maarte with all of the whipped cream and the sugar. Kasi yun yung masama actually, because that contains all of the calories. Yun may fat, yun yung mga hindi okay for the body. So, I can't handle it, but some people want black coffee. If that works for you, then go ahead. Or black coffee with a bit of milk. Okay na.
All right. Thank you, Miss Mithi.
Thank you po. I guess this question is very relevant, especially to students like me po na nag-iinom ng coffee just to wake ourselves doing all-nighter. And thank you for the information, Miss Mithi and Miss Josette. And for our next question, here's Janessa, a UPMIN BA Communication Arts alumna and Philippine Genome Center staff for her question. Let's all watch this video.
Hi, this is Janessa Villota of the Philippine Genome Center, Mindanao. My question is intermittent fasting good for all body types?
Yes. Miss Josette, any thoughts about this?
Siguro I know I'm not the expert on this field. I can only talk about my experience, but I think I have to agree with Miss Mithi early on. Sinabi niya it's not for everyone. IF could probably benefit people with no underlying conditions, yung mga walang comorbidity. If you're not suffering from any heart diseases or ano, I think you're good. But of course, before you even begin with intermittent fasting, you really have to equip yourself on how to properly do it. And dapat talaga it's a gradual dapat yung mo, hindi yung biglaan ka lang na magfa-fasting because it's really not good. It's gonna result into hypoglycemia, so maglo-lower masyado yung blood sugar mo. Yeah.
Right. Thank you for the reminder. Let's now proceed to another Facebook Live question. And we have a question from, ayan, ang dami pala nating questions, amazing. So we have a question from Rafi Evergreen. Miss Miclat, would you recommend a ketogenic diet for someone who recovered from severe COVID-19 symptoms or case?
So in my opinion, I would rather recommend an anti-inflammatory diet. So what that means is yung mga avoid processed food, only eat whole foods. So get your nutrients from vegetables, from unprocessed meat. So hindi ka magdedelata, hindi ka masyadong mag-condiments sa delikado. Kasi yun yung nagpo-cause ng inflammation in your body. So that's going to be my recommendation instead of a ketogenic diet.
Oh, I never knew about that. Thank you, Miss Mithi. Let's now have another question from a faculty this time.
Yes, from Professor Jezreel Abarca, a faculty from Department of Human Kinetics. So let's all watch this video.
I am Jezreel Abarca from the Department of Human Kinetics in UP Mindanao. I am aware that the most popular, or shall I say, trending practice when losing body weight are the low carbohydrate diet and intermittent fasting. I have two questions. Number one, how significant to consult a nutritionist, dietitian when one would like to try the low carbohydrate diet and intermittent fasting? Since a lot of us are doing this practice on our own without any consultation from a professional. Number two, when to start the low carbohydrate diet and intermittent fasting? Is it advisable to young people who are in their growing development? Or shall we say 12 to 18 years old trying this?
Imagine, 12 years old. Kamusta naman yon? So, Miss Josette, ano yung opinion mo on this?
I think I'll defer it to Miss Mithi because it's
Yes,
not my expertise. Yeah.
Yes.
all right. Thank you, Miss Mithi.
So regarding 12 to 18, personally, I wouldn't recommend it because you're still growing, you still need nutrients from different food sources. And if you deprive yourself from getting those nutrients from those food sources, it's going to be dangerous for you in the long run. Because you have to think about health, it's not just now, it's also about how our bodies are going to be in the future. So, yeah.
Thank you for the
Thank you.
reminder. And let's now have another question from Facebook. I think pwede pa naman siguro, no? This one is from Mary Francis. What advice would you give to someone looking to raise their calcium levels to normal? This person is lactose intolerant po. Paano po ito? Who would like to answer?
Yeah, I can answer that. So regarding calcium, hindi lang siya nakukuha sa milk or dairy, which is what people usually think of. So another good source of calcium is actually green leafy vegetables. And another would be yung mga fish that are quite
Ah,
small. So dito sa Pilipinas, bilis, yung mga nakakain ng buto, kasi doon natin nakukuha yung calcium. So those two food sources. Also, there's an abundance of calcium fortified dairy-free milk. So like almond milk, soy milk. Minsan may added calcium na doon. So you can get your calcium from that.
okay.
Can
Thank
I
you
Thank
add
po.
you.
briefly? Sorry,
Yes.
a good source of calcium, yung mga dilis, sardines, is a really good source of
Yes po.
calcium. And also some of our shellfish. Coming from
Mm,
fisheries
yes.
naman ako, so that's why,
Yes.
yeah, so medyo nakarelate lang ako.
Yes. Oo nga, no? Parang let's not forget the importance of seafood. No.
Mm-mm.
Let's now have our last video question. Gab?
So here's Marian Bullios from BS Biology. So here's her question. Let's all watch this.
Hello, I am Marian, your yellowfin tuna from the Southyo, and I just have questions regarding this, what they call fad diet. So alam naman nating lahat that when the COVID pandemic came, a lot of us talagang conscious na sa ating health and wellness, no? And of course, dyan din papasok yung mga weight loss challenge and such that we can saw in social media like TikTok, Instagram. So now, commonly, napapansin ko sa ating mga Pinoy that when we try to lose weight immediately, we often eliminate essential nutrients like carbs, lalo na ang kanin sa ating diet kasi nakakataba raw ang rice. Ay iba naman ay saging or skyflakes lang and Yakult whole day. So, how do we correct this ba? And follow-up question na lang din, syempre, each one of us, our body, may kanya-kanyang pangangailangan, but cannot afford to pay for a nutritionist. So, saan ba pwedeng makasik ng help sa mga nagbabalak mag-gain or weight loss through diet, pero kulang sa budget?
Okay.
Yes.
Ano pong sagot niyo dyan, Miss Josette, Miss Mithi? Who would like to answer? Ayan.
So regarding her problem na hindi siya makahanap ng professional, so there are
Mm.
actually a lot of OPDs or outpatient departments in several hospitals in Davao na very reasonable ang rate. Also in some gyms, they can actually consult and look for someone who can guide them with regards to their diet.
Ayun.
Ako naman, yeah, being an IF practitioner, we do have really support groups. Some of them are
Ah,
also part of the medical community. So just make sure that you're able to filter yung mga tamang informasyon and you always take yung mga advice, especially if it's not coming from a medical expert or a diet expert, with a little bit of caution. Pero I think the support groups are really good, especially if you're starting. Like
mhm.
Facebook groups. Pero be
Correct.
careful lang with the ano, with the information.
So equally important ang professional help and the support of our friends and a network involved in this health and wellness practices. So we don't have much time, and let's call in James Edward this time for our last segment. It's called On Live Quick Talk. So let's be quick and let's answer the questions directly. No explanations needed. So ito po ang order, si Miss Josette, Miss Mithi, si James, si Gab, at ako. Alright, so let's begin with the first question, James.
All right. So for the first question, what is your go-to food when you are stressed?
Yeah.
Miss Josette?
avocado or strawberry smoothie.
Wow.
Oh,
Wow.
Yes.
Healthy pala. So, mushroom chips.
ayan.
Wow. Ako, ice cream. How about you, Kuya Gab?
Ako avocado din, just like Miss Josette. Yes.
Ako
How
banana.
about
Ayan. Alright, next.
Okay.
conscious or not conscious of your body mass index?
Conscious pa rin.
Conscious.
Conscious.
Unfortunately, I'm not conscious. How about you, Sir P?
I should be conscious.
Yes, I should.
Thank you. Next. Oh, your top guilty pleasure food. Ala. Ayan. Miss Josette?
Lechon kawali.
Ay, sarap.
Coffee.
Ay.
Samgyeopsal.
Mine is humba.
Wow.
Sweets.
How about you, sir?
Ayan.
Yes.
Sweet. Okay. Now for the fourth question, what is your usual sleeping time?
10 p.m.
Wow. How about you, Miss Mithi?
Midnight.
Same. Midnight.
Nahiya ko 2 a.m. po.
Recently, midnight, but I think I should adjust pa. Goal ko mag 10 p.m. Thank you, Miss Josette.
So for our last question po, what is your favorite form of exercise?
Strength training, yung deadlift, I like it.
Yes. How about you, Miss Mithi?
Siguro sa akin, jump rope.
Oh,
Yes.
Ako planking.
Akin
yes.
siguro push-ups.
Wow.
TikTok joke lang.
How about
Facebook. Ay, Facebook. Ano ba yun? Dancing.
Wow, ang gaganda ng mga sagot nating lahat, no? So everyone, there you have it. Thanks to our guests, Miss Mithi Miclat and of course, Miss Josette Emlen Genio for this health and wellness episode on Online Talks that is truly worthwhile, okay? So kami po nila Gab, Kuya Gab and Sir P, kasama ng lahat ng miyembro na bumubuo ng Online Talks at maging sa buong UP Mindanao ay taos pusong nagpapasalamat sa inyong oras na inilaan upang makapagbahagi ng inyong mga karanasan, expertise at kaalaman sa mga ating mga viewers, lalo na ngayong Nutrition Month. Right, Kuya
Yes
Gab?
po. Yes po. So maraming salamat po sa ating guest na sila Miss Mithi Miclat at Miss Josette Genio. Sa taos pusok po kaming nagpapasalamat. And at this part of our program, we would like to ask you po, Miss Mithi and Miss Josette, for your final message to our viewers, either a reminder or an advice that you'd like everyone to be mindful about. So let's start with Miss Josette po.
Okay, sorry. I think the only regret I have with this kind of lifestyle, with this newfound lifestyle, no, is not doing it earlier. So I advise that if you start not feeling better about yourself, you have health issues, you should really start consulting an expert and really try to do the right thing for your body.
Yes, thank you po. And how about you, Miss Mithi?
In my case naman, I think ang bilin ko is in Bisaya, huwag magpataka na buot-buot sa diet na i-take mo. So, you really choose the right food, make good food choices. It doesn't have to be a diet per se, but it's actually really a lifestyle change that we should do in order to be healthy and well in the long run.
Yes.
Okay. So maraming salamat, Miss Josette and Miss Mithi. We hope to see you around either in Davao or any part of the country. And mula kay or on behalf of Miss Ina Olivares Dizon, ang proponent ng project na ito, kasama si Professor Karen Joyce Kayamanda, ibang crew, volunteers at interns, thank you and have a great weekend. Good night po.
Good night po.
Good night.
Thank you po.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ayan. So James, Gab,
Yes.
anong sa tingin nyo, what have you realized?
Well, for me po, sige, ako na muna po.
Yeah, sige, go.
One key takeaway for this discussion po is that all of us should seek right information in order for us to know the right food and the right exercises. And in order for us to be healthy, or the best we can have is to consult dietitians or nutritionists for a better result. How about you, James?
Ako naman, gusto ko yung sagot ni Miss Mithi kanina. Very Catriona-ish, no? Everything's good, but in moderation. Yun. How about you, Sir P?
Sa akin, it really reminds me, or the discussion tonight reminds me that loving yourself includes loving our body, mind, soul, and spirit. So it has to be holistic. And we shouldn't
Yeah.
Yes.
do all of these practices for validation purposes, especially from social media or from our peers. It all begins with our self-love and self-care. So yun lamang,
Exactly.
and
Yes.
Yes pa.
maraming salamat po sa lahat. Once again, Gab, James, thank you for joining me for tonight. And this has been
Thank
Sir
you din
P
po.
saying, take care and let's continue taking care of each other.
Yes, and this has been James Edwards saying na delayed gratification will always be the best. Kaya naman, thank you so much for watching at manatiling nakatutok dito lamang sa Online Talks para sa iba pa naming handog na impormasyon at contents. Right, Kuya Gab?
Yes, maraming salamat everyone. And I'm Gab Pelayre once again. Abangan ang next on-live spotlight as we feature a graduating UP Min student in time for the Sublime 2022 season. Ito ang on-live talks.
Ikwento mo.
Ikwento
Kwento
mo.
mo.
Good night.
Maraming
Good
salamat.
night,
Good
everyone.
night.
Thank you, thank you.
Good night po.